Hello everyone, I hope you're all doing well and welcome back to the channel. Today we have two pot stills going at it today. We have the Drumshanbo and the Teeling Pot Still. Now both these whiskies are bottled at 46%, both are a mixture of malted and unmalted barley. I think the Teeling is a perfect 50-50 split between the two. So let's see how these both get on. Now I'll just touch on price before we start. Neither's cheap. Obviously both are non-age stated and they both retail for £50 to £55, so they're both actually the same price. But obviously you pay a little bit more for the pot still experience. Straight off the nose, I'm getting a wonderful, creamy, quite dense nose, which is really nice. Very oaty, very vanilla, but there's a rich sweetness running through this on the nose, that's giving me sherry vibes. Yes, rich red fruits running through this on the nose, just covered in this almost it's almost like, it reminds me of my grandma's rice pudding, with maybe like the raisins in there providing that sweetness. But it's also quite light and oaty. That creamy is definitely going to be the word there. Lovely. I can tell that's quite a complex nose. Ah, interesting. The Teeling for me, it's not as, it doesn't have as much vanilla and it's not as creamy as the Drumshanbo. Not as oaty, definitely not as oaty either. But it does smell more sweet. This is definitely the sweeter whiskey of the two. Less creamy but more sweet, and it's definitely not like a sultana or a raisin on the sweetness. There's elements of red fruits there. I perhaps got a raspberry on the nose, but it's also given me lighter fruits, like maybe a peach or an apricot. I think probably apricot, but also slightly tropical. I wouldn't go as far as saying a pineapple or a mango, but I'd perhaps say papaya. So I'd probably say papaya, apricot and raspberry on the nose. Really interesting. That combination of fruits I don't think I've ever had on a whiskey. Really nice, and not what I was expecting on the nose of a pot still. I was expecting more of the Drumshanbo experience. So I would say if you're thinking of getting a more traditional pot still whiskey, I would actually say the Drumshanbo is going to be more down your alley so far. However, the Teeling's given me a very unique experience, so I'm liking it for that. So we'll start off on the taste. Ooh, okay. So that's where the spices are coming through. Wow, it's almost like a white pepper. That's really quite hot on the taste. Ginger too. Yes, it's definitely spicy on the taste, but also quite oaty. It's still giving you what you got on the nose, but I'm not really picking up that sweetness now. It's more so a creamy vanilla rice pudding, maybe like an oat bread, an oat cake vibe, but very spicy. White pepper and ginger, really giving it, and some wood spice. It's really quite fizzy in the taste. Quite nice, but I think I preferred the nose to the taste. And let's see what the Teeling does. Wow. So I've reviewed this whiskey in the past, it's going to be 2.5 years ago now. And this just shows you how tastes can change. Certainly the more whiskey I drink and the older I get, my taste adapts slightly, and I'm really preferring this whiskey than when I first had it, to be honest. That was really quite nice, and less spicy than the Drumshanbo on the taste. The tropical fruits are coming through on there, but it's also bitter. It's a sweet, bitter taste. It's really interesting whiskey, I'll be honest. What could that bitterness be? A little bit of citrus, but it didn't taste like a lime or a lemon or even an orange. It wasn't sweet, it was a bit more bitter. It could be a grapefruit on the taste. If you've ever had grapefruit, it's really quite bitter and sharp, and I was getting that on the taste, but not with the amount of spice that I was getting on the Drumshanbo. There's also some sweetness coming through on the taste now, but it is quite sharp. I would say maybe I'm not really picking up the apricot note that I got on the nose. For me, it's more a grapefruit, and there's something tropical in there. Certainly not as sweet as mango, but maybe sharp like pineapple, with a bit of sweetness coming through with that grapefruit. That combination's really interesting, and not something that you would find in too many Irish whiskies, I would say. Normally, normally I would get the vanillas, but it would be quite sweet. You get apple, pears, maybe some red fruits coming through. This is giving a very, very different experience to what I'm used to, and I'm really, really enjoying it. Now, I'll quickly just look at the notes that they list themselves and see if that gives me any, what's the word? Not bias, but let's see if I agree with anything. Okay, so for the Teeling whiskey, there's quite a variety of notes here. It actually lists grapefruit, but it says mango and white grapes. For me, it's nowhere near that sweet. Mango, it's not sharp at all. Even white grapes, they're sweet, they're not sharp. It's not got that in for me, but it does say peach and citrus. And I would say I said apricot, maybe a little bit similar to the peach. And the citrus, I wouldn't really say citrus, but it definitely that sharp bitterness that maybe it's referring to here, I got with the grapefruit. And then on the taste, it says white pepper and American oak, vanilla biscuits and peach. I got a little bit of a different experience here on the taste, but perhaps that's because I'm comparing it to the Drumshanbo, which has more pepper and more oak quality to it. So I wasn't really picking it up, and it came off a little bit more sweet for me. And then the finish, it's cooked barley, spice and maple sugar. And I'd perhaps agree with that. I think for me, the biggest difference would be on the taste. That I didn't really agree with that on the taste. For me, I got grapefruit and pineapple with a little bit of spices intermingled there, but nowhere near as much as the Drumshanbo. The Drumshanbo's definitely more of your standard pot still, and the Drumshanbo actually lists the note of fig on the taste, and I would agree with that. That's definitely coming through on the taste, but I'm also getting it's that oatiness. It's almost giving me a banana memory. I'm thinking of banana. So it's certainly more of the traditional style. Vanilla, rice pudding, creamy, oaty. I got a little bit of sultana on the nose, but not the taste. The fig comes through on the taste, and I get quite a creamy banana as well on there. Exceptional whiskey. Ginger and white pepper for me comes through more on the Drumshanbo than it does on the Teeling. It is present on the Teeling, but not as strong. So overall, the Teeling is going to be a little bit sweeter. It's definitely going to give you tropical fruits that I never got on the Drumshanbo, and you're going to have a bittersweet play on this whiskey. Grapefruit and pineapple on the taste, but the nose is going to be a little bit more apricot. I think I said papaya. And right on the finish for me, the Drumshanbo turns more towards a banana, whereas the Teeling actually gives off a little bit of a cacao, a milk chocolate vibe actually coming through on the taste, just on the finish. Overall, extremely impressed. Really like them. If you love your pot stills and you like to keep it traditional, you want that creamy vanilla, oaty, almost banana style of whiskey, the Drumshanbo is going to be the one you want. But if you want to maybe experiment a little bit more, have something a little bit more unique, Teeling I definitely recommend. Bittersweet, but still you're getting the pot still spices, but nowhere near as much as the Drumshanbo. So I hope that helped. If you like the video, please like the video, and don't forget to click subscribe down below. And I hope to see you all for the next Whiskey War.